It's an honor and a pleasure for me to stand up here this evening. I can identify with Stoney and not being able to talk, and I'm going to do the best I can. 1999, I went on the Board of Elections in honor of Mr. Billy Ray Pate. Came to me. I had a friend that wanted to run for city councilman, couldn't find a Republican to replace him, and he was on the Board of Elections. So Billy Ray came to me and said, "Britt, son, switch from a Democrat to a Republican so we can put you on the Board of Elections tomorrow so your buddy can run for city council." I said, "To be sure, there's a Republican to take that position." He said, "No." I said, "Well, I'll do it for one reason. That's a nonpartisan position." And I had the pleasure to work for 15 years. 12 of them was Mr. Larry Hammond right here, the director. He was recognized probably 7 or 8 times as probably the #1 director in the 100 counties in this state. It was an honor for me in Raleigh one morning at 6 o'clock that the head of legal counsel, which was a Democrat, saw me at breakfast at 6. I'm one of them early dairy men, I guess, to get up. I was eating breakfast by myself. And the head of legal counsel, Mr. Don Wright, said, "Ray, we need your help. Would you be the president of all the board members in the state Board of Elections, which would be 300. I said, "I can't do it. I run a mom and pop business, but I will be vice chair, and I'll be willing to speak for the chair if they don't like to talk, because I can talk too much probably." But anyway, with that being said, I had never met McCrae Dowless to then, but I saw a worker. And anybody that knows anything about a game of cards, these people that learn numbers and you don't supposed to play cards with them, where you don't want to get in a battle with elections with McCrae Dowless. And he knows more than most people will ever remember or forget in their life, because it's like Stoney. It's all about numbers, knowing who's in every district, how many Democrats, how many Republicans, how many unaffiliated, how many will vote in Republicans in the past on an election, and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, he knew when you got 363, you need to jump over here because you done and got the max. Most people hadn't figured that out, and they never will figure it out. But I can tell you what, he knew it. He shared it. And he told me one time, he said, "Ray, if you ever come off the board and decide to run for county commissioner," he said, "I want to help you." He said, "because I've watched how you work with Mr. Hammond." I'm happy to tell you, all the years I was there, we never had a lawyer during our Board of Election, never needed one. I'm also happy to tell you we could stand up and pledge allegiance to the flag. But I want to tell you something. This man was done morally wrong. Somebody said, "You're an idiot for going to Raleigh to get McCrae Dowless out of jail." I said, "No, I'm an idiot if I don't go." Because I knew corruption, and I knew where corruption was caused. And it wasn't because of McCrae Dowless. It was because of that man you heard speak a while ago. A Baptist minister was in the way of corruption. And you know, church and state, they say, keep it apart. We better be figuring out how to put it together, because we need a lot of God in elections, because let me tell y'all folks, it's not here. I got a freedom of speech, but I don't think I do. But I'm going to tell you something. It's bothered me, and I got to tell you, because I promised McCrae that I would say what I'm saying up here today. Pat Melvin back there, when we heard what had happened to this man, he said, "Ray, I got a closing tomorrow. If I bring you a check for $30,000, will you go get McCrae Dowless out of jail?" I said, "Just as sure as you bring me that check." And I was the chairman of the county commissioners. And somebody said, "That's the kiss of death for you." Well, that's fine. My wife would be so happy if that was the case. But with that being said, I went and I got him out. And from what I hear through a book that Cynthia Singletary just run me up and down the road, lie number 1. Lie number 2 is Pat Melvin went to get him with a trunk load of money. Well, I think you can verify it at First Citizens Bank. He took a personal check, went to the bank and got him a check He's on the board at First Citizens. And let me correct that. He's the chairman of the board at First Citizens. But if I got to write a book and tell lies to make it sell, God forgive me. Please forgive me, because I guess that's what they think people want to read. But the people that know who I'm talking about, and this is my freedom of speech. I call it like it is. I tell it like it is. I am a commissioner because of the direction and the help of McCrae Dowless. He was deathly sick, basically, when I ran this last time. Let me tell you something. He helped me. And if he was here tomorrow and I had to run, he would help me again, and I don't care who knows it, because his integrity when voting was superior. We have 5 or 6 judges around here right now. They will tell every one of them they would not be a judge had it not been McCrae Dowless. And that's from Marion Warren right on down. We had a function one time, and it wasn't even about Dowless. But all these judges, all they talked about was Dowless, and in the night they had a plaque and award probably that big. And but he owes and is due that respect. The corruption is so high and goes so far, you can't correct it. And I say that as ill as a rattlesnake. When Mark Harris, the preacher, I tell people all the time, Billy Graham could always drive the car, but Mark Harris could have rode in the front seat. But they don't want that. They do not want it. But I must tell you that so you can understand what was called. I wasn't just trying to defend Dallas. This is our county. We made national news. Now, everything that I speak, that's my freedom of speech. We all have our opinions, and my opinion, and I think if you take and connect the dots, Preacher Harris was in the way of a casino. The House has passed the casino. I can promise you it will pass the Senate. And Preacher Harris was knocked out of the way. There's a law in the books of elections. If you have any questions about any ballots, then you cast them to the side. Correct me if I'm wrong. And here's the wording it says. If it does not change the outcome of that election, then the word says, ye must certify that election. All 9 counties certified that election with 0 complaint. And when it got to Raleigh, it was not certified. To no avail, to no answer, and to no one. Now, that's a lot of what destroyed my brother here. He already had heart problems. How he lived this long, God, I have no idea, with what he had to endure. For Mr. Harris to call me before my last election and said, Ray, can I come do a fundraiser for you? I said, Mr. Harris, that's not necessary. I said, I don't take nobody's money, and I'm probably the poorest one. I'm a country boy that drank water out of a ditch for months at a time to have something to drink. I said, but I thank you. He said, but I'd like to send a letter to the paper. I said, that's your choice, sir. And he did, and it was a fine letter. It was real honorable, and it was very humbling. But you know, some people would say, Ray, you're probably not going to get 5 votes. I am not an egotisticalist. I could go home tomorrow, and I've told many people, and there again, my wife would be tickled. I think I spent 5 hours in our business this week because I was doing stuff for our county. But my point is this. I could have took election day off and went to the beach, and I'd have beat the next closest one to me by 1,500 votes. So my point is this. Some people, a lot of people, respected the knowledge that that man had and the votes that I got, and for me stepping out and doing the godly right thing. And again, if it takes falsifying and lying to sell a book, God bless you, and you better have a lot of prayers coming from Mr. Harris, because some of you know what I'm talking about, and some people's going to have to answer to it. And I'll leave here with this. That was a good man. He was demoralized. He was destroyed. And I'll stand up for him, and I will to the end. And God bless you.